Hey everyone, what is up? And welcome back to the Lifestyle Lifters Show. So, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what is the best workout split to lose fat or to build muscle. The type of training split that you're doing, it's going to be really dictated on the number of times a week that you can actually train. If you can train 2 times a week, that's going to require a different training split than someone who can train 4, 5, or even 6 times a week. So that is always going to be the start point in terms of what is the best workout split. Like, yes, push pull legs works, upper lower works, full body workouts, they can work, of course. Bro splits, they can work. But if you can't actually work the program, as the old saying goes, the best training program is only as good as your ability to follow it. Adherence is always number one. So let's just start off by asking yourself, what is realistic for you? How many times a week are you 90% certain that you can get into the gym? And that is where I would start with what is the best workout split. So if you are writing your own program, that is always the first question to consider. Now, 2 times a week. If you can train 2 times a week, you're a busy work professional, you work long hours, and you know you can only get it in twice a week. Two is enough to maintain. And then on the flip side of that as well, for any athletes listening, usually in season programming, if you're training 3, 4 times a week in the pitch, you'd want to be ideally getting into the gym just twice, and that is enough generally to maintain your strength. Excuse me. Now, if so, 2 times a week, it is enough to maintain, can be quite hard though to build and to actually improve. So, if you can get in 3 times a week, that is when we can definitely focus on building, whether it's building muscle, and you can obviously lose fat as well. And it's gonna be more optimal if you can get in 3 times a week. And then 4 times plus, that is when you can really optimize. That is when you can be a peak performer when it comes to actually training in the gym. So what I want to do is I want to break down, depending on the number of days a week that you can train, what are some options there for you in terms of workout splits and how you might potentially break up those training programs to get full bang for your buck. So let's just start out. You are training 2 times a week. That is where, in my opinion, without doubt, the best option for you would be to just do full body. Full body workouts where you're training each body part twice. Okay. If you are just doing an upper on one day, a lower on another day, it's probably not enough volume, okay, for one week, because you go a full week without hitting a body part again. Whereas at least the benefit of 2 times a week, two full body workouts is you're training your upper and your lower body twice a week. So how could you break that up? Now, when it comes to any training program, if you focus on training movement over muscles, you will have much more clarity as to how to actually do it out properly in such a way that you're getting the best possible results. So when people say, they want to grow your biceps, your triceps, sure, we all want bigger biceps, bigger triceps, a jack chest, and so on. But if you focus on training movement over muscles, you're going to be hitting those body parts, but also hitting the compound and the fundamental movements along the way. What are the fundamental movements? So they are an upper body push, an upper body pull, some form of a squat, some form of a hinge or a deadlift, a lunge or a single leg exercise on top of training your core as well. And then for your push and for your pull for your upper body, they can be broken down into a horizontal push. So let's just say you lying down flat like a bench press, and a vertical push, something like where you're standing up like a shoulder press. And then on the flip side, it can also be broken down into a horizontal pull exercise. That can be something like a dumbbell row, and a vertical pull exercise like a chin up or a lat pull down. All right. So if you're training 2 times a week, I would suggest doing two full body workouts. And a sample workout could be you could pair a horizontal push with a horizontal pull. So let's just say, for example, an incline bench press with an incline dumbbell row. Lovely superset there. You're on the incline, you have a bench, you use the same weight for the push, you use the same weight for the pull. You could then go into a vertical push and a vertical pull. So I love pairing an overhead barbell press with some chin ups there. If you grab a rack there, you have access to the barbell, and then rack the barbell and then do some chin ups. Or you could do it with like a lat pull down and a shoulder press. That's another example. Then you go on to the lower body. So something like a bilateral squat with a unilateral deadlift variation. I really love this combo where you're doing one exercise performed on two legs, and then you superset that with another exercise performed on one leg. So an example would be something like if you wanted to do a barbell back squat with a single leg deadlift, a deadlift using a dumbbell. So barbell back squat, that's a bilateral exercises. You're on two legs, and you compare that then with a single leg deadlift where you're working on one leg. And then finally, if you get it in some kind of a lunge pattern, so maybe a side lunge, and you can also train the core there. All right. But that's just a sample of how you might break up a full body workout. Another way you could pair your full body workouts if you're training twice a week is you could pair an upper body exercise with a lower body exercise. So, for example, you could do a dumbbell bench press and a hex bar deadlift. I really like that combo, or even a barbell bench press and a hex bar deadlift. You could do something like maybe a lat pull down with a lunge or a chin up in a lunge. Then you could go on to, okay, we want to hit the shoulders. So, like a shoulder press and a goblet squat. Again, that you're training all those movements, and then finally maybe some form of a row or a pull-in exercise with your core there. But 2 times a week, if this is you listening, full body workouts are your go-to. Another great way, if actually this is something I enjoy doing, if you're caught for time there, this is in one of our some of our members, they can only get it done for maybe 30 minutes. So what I do is we do escalating density training with them. And that is where you set a timer from whatever time you have. Let's just say you have 30 minutes. Set a timer for 30 minutes, and you might do two big giant sets. And that could be something like an upper body, a lower body, and a core exercise for 15 minutes, and then do another upper body, another lower body, another core exercise for 15 minutes. And that is just, you're just getting in as much volume as possible inside 30 minutes. I used to do this if I was ever caught in time. There's this CrossFit workout. Now, look, I'm not the biggest fan of CrossFit, but there is this pretty fun-ish workout. It's called Murph. And it's it's a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats, and a 1 mile run. So you do that for time. Now, I used to do that maybe once or twice a year. But then what I got into the habit of doing was back in the day when I didn't sometimes I wanted to get something done this Sunday. Let's just say I was out on a Saturday night, not feeling the best, and I wanted to get like a quick 20-minute workout done on Sunday. Instead of going to the gym, I have a chin-up bar at home, and what I used to do was escalating density training using that same or similar method where I do 5 chin-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 squats. And I'd set a timer for 20 minutes and just do as many rounds as possible. And the great thing is, if you're doing escalating density training, I would keep track of how much volume you do. And let's just say in the first week, you got 8 total sets of that done. Next week, well, by God, let's try get 9 sets done in the same period of time. It's a great and rewarding way to build your fitness and even also your endurance there too, because there's a cardio element to it. But anyways, back to our original question. If you can train twice a week, full body workouts will be your go-to there. 3 times a week then. So you could continue on doing full body workouts. Recovery can become a bit more of an issue there. That still would be an option though. Again, if you're training from home, I would probably recommend still 3 full body, depends on how much weight, of course, and depending on how much weight you have access to. But you could also pivot then 3 times a week to an upper lower full body, which would probably be my preference, especially if you're training in a gym, because the benefit is, again, you're training each body part twice a week, but on one day you can really target it towards the upper body. On another day, you can really target it towards the lower body. And then the full body can combine like what you would have been doing in the upper and the lower session together. That is an option. You could also then go push, pull, and legs for 3 times a week. So push, pull, legs for anyone that doesn't know. On one day, you emphasize pushing exercises. So that'll be like, and basically training your mirror muscles. So that'll be your chest, your triceps, and your shoulders. Another day, you're emphasizing pulling exercises. So that'll be your posterior or your back muscles. So that'll be, that could be some form of like hamstring work there, some glute work there, or it could be just simply a back workout. So that's where you're doing a lot of rows. I like to do deadlifts on my pull day as well. So you'd be doing rows, you'd be doing deadlifts, maybe chin-up variations or pull-up variations. And then of course you'd be training legs there. If I were if I were to choose and I had 3 times a week, I would probably opt for upper, lower, and full body. The benefit being, again, as I said, you're training each body part twice a week, whereas with the push-pull legs, sure, you're having 3 targeted sessions where you're really emphasizing pushing exercises, pulling exercise, and leg exercises. But if you miss one of those sessions for whatever reason, or even just in general, it's hard to accumulate enough volume in one session to really focus on building there. So that is where I'd be leaning towards an upper, lower, and full body split if you could train 3 times a week. Now, if you can train 4 times a week, I'd say your two best bang for your buck would be upper, lower, upper, lower. Okay. And that's where you can really start to optimize. Now, I really love the upper, lower, upper, lower. That's what a lot of our members are on at the moment who are able to commit to training 4 times a week. You know, upper, lower is really good. Or you could do push, pull legs and full body. That is another nice split. So depending on who we are working with, if someone has been following upper, lower for the past 12 months, what I sometimes would do is just because often what happens is if someone is on that same training split for 4 times a week and they've been doing that the last 12 months, you can kind of get to a point where what a lot of people say anyways when we have consultation calls is they're just seeing stagnation, they're not seeing some growth. So what I would do there then, what I like to do is I'll say, okay, so if you're doing upper, lower, in my head I'm thinking, I'm going to add a bit of variety here and I'm going to try out something different with them and maybe put them on a push, pull legs and full body. Benefit of push, pull legs and full body is you're training each body part still twice a week. Just the push pull legs, they're more targeted towards those specific body parts. Upper lower, though, I love that split as well, and that works really well. How would you actually break down an upper, lower? So, what I like to do for upper, lower, for any of our members working with us who are, maybe 6 months, 6 months plus experience would be on one of the upper body days, we could emphasize something like a bench press. On another upper body day, we could emphasize another compound lift like a shoulder or a barbell overhead press. And then for the lower body days, you could build one of the sessions around the box squat or the back squat being your main movement. And you could build another session around a deadlift or a hex bar deadlift being your main movement. And then always then you take the workout from there. You'd always start out with well, I'm not going to say always, I'm not going to speak in absolutes. But in general, it's probably best to build your workouts around compound lifts. The benefit being, as I said on last week's episode, they train multiple muscle groups at once. All right. So that would be a nice way for upper, lower. You could emphasize bench press and overhead press for your 2 upper days, the back squat and the deadlift for your 2 lower days, and then build your session around those. Incorporate lunges on your lower body days. Incorporate squats in your lower body days. Incorporate shoulder work, chest work, back work, and so on your upper body days. But that'll be the baseline there. Now, if you want to do push pull legs, here's a little hack that I've been using the last 12 months actually. Instead of doing it in the order, what most people do is push, pull, and legs. I have found if I do pull first and then push the day after, my push session becomes much, much better because I have a nice back pump from the day before. I really found that beneficial. So give that a go. If you are someone listening and you've been doing push pull legs, try do your pull session first and then your push session afterwards. On a separate day, I have found then my push session to be much, much better from getting a good back pump. All right. But if you're doing push pull legs in full, what I would like to do there is okay, so we'll start out with our pull. I like to do deadlifts and pull day. So that'll be like my main movement on my pull day. And then other main exercise you'd want to incorporate there would be either like a pull up or a lat pull down variation, some kind of a barbell or dumbbell row, and then something for the upper back there, like rear delt flies or something like that. You could also then incorporate, I love doing farmers walks on the day of deadlifts. Something I've learned as well, do not do heavy farmers walks the day before you do a deadlift session. Let's just say you're doing an upper body session today and you're doing a lower body session tomorrow, and in that lower body session you're doing tomorrow, you have deadlifts on it. I would not be doing farmers walks on the upper body session, because what do farmers walks work? They're very, very good for working your core, but also they're really taxing on your grip. And we know that grip strength when doing deadlifts is extremely important. All right. So a great way to build your grip strength is after you do deadlifts, when the hard, heavy lifting is done, then actually train your grip. That is why I love doing farmers carries and walk variations on the same day that I do deadlifts. So in that pull workout, I'd emphasize the deadlift is your main compound lifts. And then accessory work would be the likes of RDLs. It'll be the likes of chin-ups. It would be the likes of lat pull-down, barbell rows, rear delt flies, even some bicep curls you throw in there on the pull workout on top of maybe farmers carries. For an upper body push workout then, so this is kind of like a catch-22. Is your main compound lift going to be a bench press or an overhead press? Or you could potentially do them both in the one session, which I sometimes do. Just know that whichever one you do first, you're probably going to get better performance with. Now, you could actually rotate this as well. It's another option where if you want to grow your bench press and your overhead press, on week one, you train bench press first, and you do your overhead press second. On the second week, you could do your overhead press first and your bench press second. All right. But that usually you build your push session around one of those exercises, and then incorporate some accessory work for the triceps, for the shoulders in there as well. And then for your legs, so you could do that on your day 3. That's probably going to be built around some form of a squat, a back squat variation in general. And then you could incorporate lunges, reverse lunges, and so on in there also. Then for your full body workout, that just goes back to what we were speaking about previously. You try to do a combination of everything all in the one session. All right. Now moving on, so you can train 5 times a week. Yeah, so this is now like you can really, really focus on you have a lot of freedom here, to be honest. Like you could go upper, lower with some cardio thrown in there. You could go upper, lower, and just some arm work, for like a lighter session. You could do push, pull legs and then upper, lower, which I really like as well. You could do then the bro split of just chest, back, shoulders, arms, and legs. There's a lot of options there for 5 times a week. So again, I spoke about the benefits of upper, lower, upper, lower. I really like that, as do I love push, pull legs, provided you have enough rest and recovery and your nutrition is on point. Let's talk about now like a bodybuilding-esque bro split of chest, back, shoulders, arms, and legs. The reason I don't program these is just for the type of clients that I work with. Often they have the best intention to get to the gym, we'll say 4 or some even 5 times a week, but on average 3 or 4. But let's just say someone can commit to 5 times a week, and you do chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, shoulders Wednesday, arms Thursday, and legs Friday. For whatever reason, you might get caught up in work on Monday and you miss your chest workout. The downside of following a bodybuilder bro split is it becomes then, instead of next week before you hit your chest again, you actually miss a full week, and it's 2 weeks before you train that body part. So if you were training a bro split like this, you better be damn sure you're able to get all those sessions in a week. Because if you aren't, it means you're going a full 2 weeks without training a single body part. So in general, I'm not the biggest fan of that split. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I mean, look at the bodybuilders. The proof is in the pudding there for them. It's just like, do you have that consistency to do it? And you better be making sure you're getting your sessions in. Now, the benefit of bro splits and doing it like that is you can really get a targeted, a chest workout. You can really do a targeted arm workout, a leg workout on that, where you're just giving your all to that single body part. Obviously, it's got recovery, it's gonna take a bit longer, but the benefit is you've got a full 7 days before you're training again. All right. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, probably just not my favorite approach, particularly for a lot of the busy working professionals that I work with. All right. And then anything from like 6, 7 times a week onwards, you have a lot of freedom there. You could do push pull legs twice. You could do upper lower cardio, upper lower cardio. You have a lot of options there. But that is just generally a breakdown of what are some of the ways that you can actually what's the best workout split that you can use to lose fat or to build muscle? It all starts with how many times a week can you train. Now, you can use machine weights, you can use free weights, you can use a combination of both. This is something I've definitely changed my mind on. I used to be of the opinion that, you know, machines are a waste of time. Everything must be done with free weights. And I used to speak in absolutes, but you know what? As you become wiser at age, as you coach more clients, and you train more yourself, I try not to talk in absolutes anymore. Everything works, just nothing works forever. So what I actually really like to do now is, if you have access to a gym, is do a combination of both. That you can do a combination of machine exercises and free weights. Like the benefit of machine work is it's it's probably easier and safer to train to failure, particularly in the lower body exercises. Like it's much safer to go to absolute failure, or near failure at least, on a leg press than it would be on a barbell back squat. And in general, proximity to failure, intensity, that's going to be obviously really important for building muscle in particular. But you can probably bring that intensity a bit higher, particularly in on machines for certain exercises going to failure as opposed to like free weights. So for example, as I said, like squats, I don't recommend pushing compound lifts to absolute failure. I always say leave one or two in the tank. Leave one or two in the tank with those. And then for your accessory lifts, like your bicep work, your tricep work, let's just freaking hit it hard from the get-go. But for your compound lifts, I do not recommend going to failure. With all of that being said, though, I know that the topic of this podcast is what is the best workout split to lose fat or to build muscle? The workout split that you choose, it's not nearly as important as the intensity and the amount of effort that you bring to that session. Because guess what? You can build muscle. Research has shown it's crazy. You can build muscle in anywhere from the 3 to 30 rep ranges. All right. Anywhere from 3 to 30 rep ranges, you can build muscle. But there's a difference between lifting the weight and going to close or near close to failure. The benefit of training in lower rep ranges, I usually like to do the compound lifts in either 3, 5s, or 8s. So let's just say a deadlift. I'd be very mean if I program it any more than 8 reps for anyone, because it can just your form can slowly break down after, like, even after 5, but usually 8 should be the upper limit there. But then if you were to do 30 rep deadlifts, which I wouldn't recommend, you can still build muscle in that rep range, just obviously risk of injury increases. But you can build muscle in anywhere from the 3 to 30 rep range. So what I usually like to do is I like to train the compound lifts as if you are a power lifter. We are focusing on numbers there. We're focusing on performance. We're focused on overload, getting better every single week. I usually don't program those, as I said, for any more than 3, 5, or 8 reps. But then for the accessory movements, let's train those like a bodybuilder. All right. Let's focus on the pump. Let's focus on, let's say you're doing a dumbbell chest press. Let's focus on the lower in there, really feeling the muscle. Okay. Let's focus on what else do I like to use? Leg press if you're doing that. Instead of just pressing the weight, let's focus on lowering it back for 3, 2, 1, pause, and then press. So for those kind of exercise for accessories, I really like to train them as if you're a bodybuilder. Go in that maybe 8 to 12 rep range, which I find works well for many, and really focusing on feeling the muscle. But with all of that being said, you can amazingly build muscle in the 3 to 30 rep range. All right. So it might be worth trying, a combination of different rep ranges for different exercises. What I generally like to do in our programs and in my own program is I usually like to start out with lower reps, and then as the session progresses, I like to build it up. So let's just say, for example, I could take it through a pull workout. It might be deadlifts, and you might be doing 4 sets of 5 reps. Okay. Then for your accessory work there, that could be RDLs. You could be doing 3 sets of 8 reps. And you might pair that with some pull-ups. You could do 3 sets of 6 to 8. Okay. Then we could go on to rows, and you might do those in the 10 to 12 rep range. All right. And then for work on your upper back or for your biceps, you could do those in the 12 to 15 rep range. All right. And then you might do some farmer's carries, and that could be for time, where you want to hold it for like 3 minutes straight, walk as far as you can, or it could be for a distance, like 50, 60 steps. All right. But that's just a nice way that I like to use to incorporate different rep ranges into the same session. So you're focusing on really building strength, lifting heavy for the compound lifts. And then as the session goes on, as you start to fatigue, we don't want to be lifting as heavier weights because the risk of injury might increase, but instead we might do a bit more volume there using a lighter weight. All right. And that is all for this week's episode. So just to recap, the best workout split is going to be dependent on how many times a week you can train. 2 times a week, it's enough to maintain. Full body would be your probably go-to there. 3 times a week, you can build, and 4 times a week, we can optimize. If you're training 3 times a week, you could go, I'd probably recommend upper, lower, and full, or 3 full body, or potentially push-pull legs as well there. And then 4 times a week, you'd probably be looking at upper, lower, or push-pull legs and a full body. And then 5 times a week, you can really choose your poison there. You could go upper, lower cardio, upper, lower. You could do push-pull legs, upper, lower, and incorporate cardio there as well. And then 6 times a week, you've got a lot of freedom there. But either or, look, this is all kind of general advice here. If you do want something more specific and customized towards you, just send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Mac Lifestyle Fitness on Instagram. What I offer is my lean lifestyle transformation program, and it's all customized to our clients. Everyone comes with individual goals. Some are for maybe more athletic performance based, where they want to look good, but also perform good on the pitch. Others are for members who work, 40, 50 hours a week. They're busy working professionals. They're sitting at a desk all day and they just want to look better, feel a bit more confident in themselves, get a bit leaner, drop a bit of body fat. And that's obviously going to take a different approach. So look, everything is all going to be customized towards you, towards your individual needs. If you would like to learn more about what I offer, just shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm at Mac Lifestyle Fitness, and just send me a message, Lean Lifestyle, and I can send you on the program details. If in the meantime you would like something just to tie you over for the next while, I will include in the show notes. So I have a 7-day fat loss accelerator and a living lean recipe cookbook. I know we didn't talk about nutrition much in this episode, but the whole purpose of the recipe cookbook is to prove to you that eating healthy, it does not have to be boring. You can include foods that you enjoy. In my free 7-day fat loss accelerator, I'll also post links to that as well. And I'll even post a link if you would like to try out a sample workout, a 3-day split of an upper, lower, and full body session from a Live and Lean lifestyle program that I recently wrote. So I'll post links to all of those in the show notes. In return, if you got value from this, just one thing I would ask is, it doesn't cost anything at all. I don't run ads to this at all. Would just be to leave a review. 5-star review, preferably on iTunes, or I think you can leave a review in Spotify as well. It really does help with the ranking. All right. So that is all for this week's episode. Thank you all for listening. Hope you guys, lifestyle lifters, have an awesome week.